Have you come across someone who, after shaking their hand, you realize either they had wet hands, or when you looked at where they're standing, you realize that actually the ground is wet? Now, that condition happens to be called hyperhidrosis, and it's not a disability. This is a disorder, or just a case where someone's body happens to produce excessive fluids, excessive water, excessive sweat that is not related to heat or to anything around. So it may or may not be hot around, but when someone has that condition, they just happen to produce a lot of sweat. And you might realize that when you shake their hands, or when you look at the surface where they have touched, you realize they have left wet prints and so on. Or maybe their feet, if they remove their shoes and their socks, you realize that their feet are sweaty, their hands and so on. Yeah, it's a condition that happens, and you may actually sweat so much that it actually soaks through your clothes. You just realize why are you someone is wet, like in their back, their back looks wet, or their armpits, or just they look like they're soaked in water. That condition, that hyperhidrosis condition, is what they might be having, and it can happen to anyone. Now, besides disrupting someone's normal activities, now they might have to go change. Say, for example, if they have to go to a board meeting, or they have to, to stand before a class and train, that person might have to go change their clothes, to go change their, to go freshen up and so on. So it actually can disrupt someone's normal daily activities. And sometimes this heavy sweating can also cause just social anxiety and embarrassment. Also, again, depending with the population or the people around you who may or may not understand this condition. So yeah, this particular condition, again, this hyperhidrosis that we are talking about, is just, it's not like a medical condition per se. This hyperactivity causes you to just sweat a lot, and at times and places where probably other people wouldn't. Where, say, for example, just in a normal, say in the morning when it's not hot yet, no one expects people to start sweating and so on. And if someone has this condition, you realize they sweat at any time, in the morning, in the evening when it's cooling down and so on. So yeah, it's a weird condition. And sometimes, a medical condition might actually trigger this. Like, for example, if this person suffers from anxiety, if this person is going through something else, you realize it might actually now trigger this hyperhidrosis to even occur more. And many people with this condition, controlling symptoms can actually be a challenge, because you don't tell your body to sweat. It just does. It just sweats when it sweats. So again, controlling it might be a challenge. And such a thing also can just make you be people afraid, because you don't know when that moment will occur. So it's like such a person who might be afraid to interact with people, might be afraid to date, because you don't know if, for example, you'll start sweating before your date, who again might interpret it wrongly and so on. It can happen, probably, say, if you are just yet to go in for an interview. So you realize some people actually can get withdrawn and not want to venture and try out these things, because it kind of just makes them feel less, which again shouldn't. So for those of us who might be around such a person who has hyperhidrosis, who has this excessive sweating condition, let's be kind. They didn't ask for it. They didn't call it to come. Then it just comes when it comes, and it can happen to anyone. So again, let's be nice, and don't be quick to throw in your opinions and to think you know what's going on. Like I have covered in one of my episodes, sometimes just the quick opinions and suggestions and things we say thinking we know can really be hurtful, and this will include actually this hyperhidrosis. So again, don't be quick to go haya amejimagia maji, amejikojolea, like some people go oh, the person peed on themselves, or the person is, blah blah and so on. You don't know their story, so you want to be kind, both with your acts and your words. Because truth be told, hyperhidrosis is a condition that exists. I personally know of some people. I had a classmate in campus who had this hyperhidrosis, and it was not good. It really would stand in his way, and he was a sharp man and so on. And I'm glad to see he is actually doing very well in the media industry right now. I'm sure when he watches this, he'll know who I'm talking about and so on. I'm just glad he didn't let it stand in his way. He didn't let it like shut his dreams down and so on. But he can tell you for sure he struggled with it. He would shake your hand and you are left with a wet handshake, and so on. And now he will start apologizing, or sometimes, and by then, at least right now, you can avoid shaking someone's hand and say, you know what, we are still in the COVID era and so on. Before then, like, there wasn't a reason you shouldn't shake someone's hand. So it's like, and you see, shaking a hand before COVID was almost so automatic. So whenever he will do that, and then you just realize, oh, then he will have to apologize and say, oh, okay, I have this condition and so on. So it just makes one also have to explain themselves almost every other time, which can be tiring, I assume. So again, yeah, let's just be kind when we come across such people, and let us let them tell us the condition they have. Don't be quick to conclude. They know their bodies better than we do.